working, so former Chief Jeff Isaacs can't be here. John Hamilton, who's the Northeast Deputy Fire Chief, is here. And Phil Music, Department of Public Works, Civil Engineering and Construction Division is here. As you notice, he's got his computer. He's going to show some slides. So I'm going to let him go first, if he's ready. If he's not, I can have the Deputy Chief go.
Yeah.
You want the lights turned on? I think I've got it.
Okay, we're going to have the Chief go first as we operate on this equipment.
Can you hear me all right? I'm John Hamilton, Deputy Chief, Northeast Fire Company. Retired from Aberdeen Proving Ground, 35 years there as a firefighter. So Northeast got me, I've been there 44 years. I look around the room, I see a lot of friendly faces. Smile at me, please. Go ahead. Thank you, sir. The Northeast Fire Company is supporting the bridge, Old Elk Neck Bridge. We have supported, according to our files, since 2004. We think the bridge should be put in place. The money cost goes up every year. The money costs to the citizens. We look at the bridge and we go to you and say to you, for emergency services, it's a necessary. It's another avenue. For instance, power line down at the Anchorage store, 272, halfway down the road. Dropped the high tension wire last year, the road closed. We were there 3.5 hours. The first hour the wire was hot. We had about a half a mile of traffic north of the bridge, or north of the scene, and a half a mile south. We had daycare. What a lot of people don't realize in Elk Neck, summer camps. Everything you want to think of is in Elk Neck in the summertime. We have storms, the trees drop. A question was asked to me in another meeting, don't you carry a chainsaw? We do, but we can't cut a 3-foot tree and move it with a fire truck. We have to get the county. We have to get everybody else out there. So we support the old Elk Neck Bridge as a means for people to get out of Elk Neck. Now, if it's below that, Hart's Church, I see some faces looking. If it's below Hart's Church, you're in trouble. Chesapeake Isles, the camps, some of the camps, I just saw there the other day, 2 weeks, some of the camps had 3,000 kids in some of the camps down there. DuPont does their team building down at a camp down there. So for us, it like cuts us off. So the fire company supports the bridge. The efforts of the bridge, I think when the bridge started, the cost was not that great. Now the cost keeps increasing. My notes and letters here, we started in 2004 when we built a substation in Elk Neck, talking about the bridge, the bridge, the bridge. Does it impede emergency service? The sheriff and the state police wrote a letter for us and they agreed that it would help us. We have houses on the Elton side of the bridge, just across the bridge, that we run ambulance to. In the wintertime we get down there, we have 5 or 6 houses down Long Lane. I spent 2 days this week watching the school buses. Let's go back to the school. School bus comes down and turns around, heads back out again. Turns around. How many have been down the road? Turns around down that road. It takes some turns and comes back up. Now, I'm not sure whether he goes back around the other side and delivers kids, but fire trucks and school buses are about the same size. So here we are. The price of the bridge is way up there. Do we want the bridge? The fire service says we'd like to have the bridge for safety reasons and to give us another way out of Elk Neck. We see other bridges in the county that have been replaced, maybe not as costly. There may be certain circumstances. This is low-lying area, we're aware of that down there. But if you're down Elk Neck and we cut you off at Hart's Church for church services, then nobody moves. I was there when the wires went down. Some of the people in Cecil County are irate, nasty. I need to go home now. Well, the power company says the power here won't let you go home. My kids are in daycare. Well, they're just as fine as they were at 8 o'clock this morning. We have to make you wait. You can't cross the high tension line. So, here we are. I believe he's got his paper up. You want me to keep going here for a second?
Yeah.
Let's do this. Is there a question? You want to wait?
We were going to have the questions afterwards.
That's okay. I mean, think about them. The fire service is here. We try to serve our community. We stay on top. Me being retired, I get into the plans. You want to build in Northeast, I'm going to know about it. I'm going to say something about it. When you look at the plans, we ask for fire hydrants. We ask for bridges. We ask for circular roads. We ask for 24-foot wide roads. We ask to turn the school bus around, so we can turn the fire truck around. So anybody doesn't understand, we're volunteers, but when I go to the town meeting with a letter, tap on the table lightly, and hopefully when I talk to the commissioners board of it, they listen to us too once in a while about issues. The bridge, if we don't get the bridge, 2004 letter here in front of me, we'll keep on going. But I think in 2013 and 14, the price of the bridge is going to go up even more. And I'll let this gentleman go right here.
Good evening. Hello,
You
good
want the
evening.
lights off?
Uh,
Everybody see it?
I need that from the back. See it in the back? Okay. Good evening. My name is Phil Music. I'm the county's road and bridge engineer. I work in the engineering construction division. I've been with the county about 4 years. Just passed my 4-year anniversary. Previously, as a consultant, worked for several of the engineering consultants that advise some of the towns, and also in Delaware and southeast Pennsylvania. So I've been working in, as well as in the county, but in the area for quite a number of years now. This is the bridge program. Just I'm going to do a little blurb about the whole program so you understand how this project came to exist. There's kind of 3 parts that we look at when we're deciding on bridge projects, capital road projects. There's 3 pieces: the bridges that are out or in desperate need of replacement because of the structural condition. We plan to replace those. Bridges that aren't in such bad condition maybe can be repaired. We've been trying to start getting a program to do some comprehensive rehabs. We've done that on a number of bridges, and we have some of those ongoing right now. And then the other thing we do is maintain and maintenance projects. I think last year, if you were around Elkton, around the county, you saw a lot of short 3-day, 1-week closures. We're doing a number of maintenance projects that previous to that program was totally limited to our bridge crew, which they do a great job. They don't have all specialized equipment. They don't have, there's only so much of that resource. We're able to get a subcontractor in and work on the maintenance. So we're not looking to replace every bridge in the county. We have a full broad spectrum program. It's not, I know some people say, all you're doing is replacing. No, we have a lot of other items going on. Purpose of the briefing tonight is to discuss a capital project in the south portion of Old Elk Neck Road. That consists of 2 different CIP project codes, 3 different portions. Old Elk Road, Route 272 intersection, the Old Elk Neck Road Bridge over Piney Creek, and Old Elk Neck Road widening north of the bridge. I'll show you where those are on the map here in a second. Go ahead. I'll try to roll through this agenda so you have time for the discussion.
Sir, if you could move over to the side, we could see the screen but still hear you.
Okay. Sorry.
And put the microphone real close to you.
Okay. Is that better?
Yes.
All right. So here's my agenda. Next slide. Okay, this map shows the location of projects. Go ahead and hit the next slide. We'll zoom in. The 3 portions of the project. A little bit hard to see here. To the south is the intersection project, where Elk River Lane, Old Elk Neck, and Turkey Point Road intersect. Up from there about a mile is the bridge location, and it's a linear project because it includes 2,000 feet of road approaches, which is more than a typical project. So when you talk about costs, well, it's a bigger project. That is one of the reasons. that the costs are more than some of our smaller projects. And then the next, moving north from there, is a section of approximately 1 mile of Old Elk Neck Road that would need to be widened to properly handle two-lane traffic. And current width is 17 to 18 feet throughout, and we're going to bring that up to 22 feet to match the section north and pretty much match Old Elk Neck as you take it north until you get up by the Amtrak Bridge where it widens way, way to the north. Okay, next slide. Some history on this project. September 2004, the bridge washed out during a severe storm. It was not a hurricane, it was in between a couple storms, but I believe the hurricane just before that severely damaged the bridge. 2005, they created the Engineering Construction Division. I guess that's important because that's not only where I'm employed, but before that time we were doing 1 or 2 bridge projects at most a year. And with the creation of that division for roads and bridges, it meant we could take on more projects. So the county had fallen way behind, had about 24 bridges out or restricted, some down to single vehicle loads. Calvert Road, that was recently replaced. That was just vehicles just bigger than a car could cross it. That's the kind of projects we've been tackling. And we've completed, I've completed 15 bridge projects in addition to a number of other rehab and repair projects in the last 4 years. In 2006, the CIP program was briefed to the commissioners and approved. And then May 2007, the FY 2008 budget had the Old Elk Neck Bridge project funded, and we started design shortly, well, not shortly after, because at that time they didn't have a contract in place to hire. We had an engineering RFP go out to hire engineers that could conduct more than one bridge design at a time, so we could continue to assign multiple jobs. And at that time, we hired 3 different consultant engineers, and we started 12 bridges under design, as well as Old Elk Neck Bridge that year. Pinoti Engineering, if you're a resident, you may have been in touch with you. They're our engineer for the road widening project and the bridge project. Next one. 2009, briefed the commissioners about the bridge, and that we wanted to increase the scope and go from a replacement in kind, which would have put the bridge exactly over the same gap, left the terrible curves that are in the road and the slopes that are in the road in place, and talk more what those restrictions would be like as we get into the slides. May 2011, the Old Elk Neck Road project started getting funding. We started design on them. And October 2011, we briefed the commissioners on the Old Elk Neck Route 272 project, and we did a budget amendment that advanced some funding so that we could coordinate to get that project done before the bridge was open. I think if you're familiar with that intersection, I was going to show you some diagrams why that's a problem. We want to address that before we start routing traffic through the bridge. Excellent. I put together a few facts. We know that once we open the bridge, we'll have significant traffic. The original bridge alignment included 16% slopes and some very tight turns and narrow width, which would have restricted the bridge to 15-mile-per-hour design speed. That's why we decided that we needed to do approach improvements to get that up to a more normal speed. And we've, instead of going to 35, which would be ideal for a collector road like this, we only went to 25-mile-per-hour design speed. So we took a little bit of appetite suppressant over here. This should be 35. We reduced the speed, and then we didn't have to do quite as many improvements. And then the site distance, if you've ever been at Old Elk Neck and Elk River Lane, is way below standards. I'll show you some more of that. these next comments are just that the routing and the existing conditions aren't satisfactory. They don't meet the AASHTO standards. AASHTO's engineering guideline for the design of roadways. It gives design standards for the speed of the road, the type of vehicles. And you're always designing for a tractor, trailer, truck, school bus, the big vehicle, not the car. The car can handle that road and probably handle it faster than design speed. In the process, we have had some support for this project from EMS, police, and fire. Chief Isaacs is one of the individuals I've talked to along this project about multiple times. I've got two slides there to show the detours. But if you live in that area, you're probably familiar. For the people not in the area, local to the area, if they're south, they would probably take the detour from Elk River Lane location north on 272 up to 40, and then head east to Elkton. That detour is 12 miles versus straight up Old Elk Neck would be a 9-mile route. Next slide. For some of the locals that want to get back on Old Elk Neck Road, it's about a 1.5 mile detour to go to get back on Old Elk Neck Road, taking McKinney Town, which is the next intersection up. In addition to routing your normal, typical trucks, tractor trailers through here, we routed this as our design vehicle because we don't expect that much truck traffic. There's no truck destination down there. It would just be a few moving trucks, those kind of vehicles. Potentially, one of the worst vehicles to route would be an RV and a boat. Wouldn't be that often, but we worked that into our design, made sure that would route through the intersections. RVs have speed problems and acceleration problems, so that slope was a problem we considered when we considered reducing the slope. Next slide. A few assumptions that we used going into this project. We're estimating before the bridge we had counts 300 to 500. They weren't right at the bridge, so I don't have a dead-on count that I can say that's exactly what it was in 2004. We think there'll be 800 to 1,000 vehicles per day using that bridge once it's reopened, that route. We know that we'll continue to have some new development and infill. Down below there's several thousand acres. Yes, they're restricted. There's lots of restrictions on how they can build with the critical area. And there's no sewer, but we'll still have some growth. We don't know what that's going to be, but so traffic will only increase. We always, as an are trying to build our bridges to the AASHTO standards. We're not cutting corners and saying, well, we only want to pass cars, so we're going to design this bridge cheaper and just pass cars. We're going to pass all legal loads and meet the design criteria when we're designing intersections. And just road products, we can expect a 50-year lifespan. Yes, there might be an overlay in there, but we don't expect a major tear up the road and rebuild it for 50 years. And bridge projects, yes, we'll do repairs, but 75 years for the structure to last is what our design life we're working on. This is a little bit blurry. This is the existing Elk River Lane Route 272. Across the, moving left to right on your page is Route 272, the right side being north. And you can see the green lines. We can't stay in the pavement and route that recreational vehicle combination through there. That would be the same for tractor trailers. They have to do a situation where they stop, maybe back, maybe pull off the edge of pavement in the current configuration if they were to move through that intersection. So we looked through about 4 alternates for this intersection, and years ago some planners had a parcel dedicated on a subdivision where we could extend Old Elk Neck Road out to 272 and we can get the minimum sight distances along 272 so you can safely enter traffic. One of the things on 272 that's a problem is just to the north of Elk River Lane, there's a hill that rises, and you can't see traffic coming down Turkey Point from the north. You've got about 60 feet before that hill, and it drops off at a pretty steep slope, and the vehicles are unseen. And that's bad enough if they're going the speed limit, but we know on the rural roads, we often see a lot higher speeds. It's a real hazard. Which, correcting that has warrants, in my mind, with or without the bridge timing. Yes, it can be deferred, but there is a problem there that should be addressed right now. Did we skip one? No. Well, she skipped over a slide. I just had the slide from the September 2009 briefing. And just to talk about costs, in September 2009, when we briefed the commissioners, the cost for the bridge project was $2.2 million. That's what we were estimating at that time. And in this slide, you'll see that we're estimating $2.7 million. Now, my job is to work on reducing some of those costs. I can go into details later on if you want to discuss on what we're looking at. We think we can cut a couple $100,000 off that because we've got, and I can run the reasons why later on. Let you. And you can see the costs that we're forecasting for the intersection project, which that's on State Highway. State Highway, the big cost there is you got to keep the road open, and you're going to work in the road. So traffic control will double the cost of several portions of that work. The old Elk Neck Road widening, estimated about $800,000 for that widening. That includes design, right-of-way, everything. And just to compare that to what it cost for overlay, when we did our overlay paving 2 years ago, a mile was costing about $200,000 just to put a 2-inch layer of asphalt on top of the existing road without any widening. This slide gives our schedule as of September, October of 2011. At that point, there is some discussion on the board about deferring, delaying, reconsidering the project. Some phases are still underway. We're continuing with our design. It's a very long process with waterways permits and those kind of things. Those are moving forward. But we've stopped work on the acquisition of right-of-way and moving forward with any utility relocations at this point. So I guess the sum of that slide is the total prior funding in previous CIP programs was $2.4 million. It's what's already been allotted in FY 11, and also with the additional amendment adding in money in FY 12. And then you can see there's some additional money to get both of those projects to construction. And with that, I've probably spoken way too long. Go ahead and pass over the mic, and I'll answer some questions if you've got something.
Okay, I've got a question before we get started, and I'm going to go down this row and then down. To build anything nowadays, road, bridge, whatever, there's environmental impacts. Are there any extraordinary environmental impacts associated with this, considering the closeness to the state park, etc.?
The state park has no effect on the bridge project. The state park has right-of-way through the widening section. We would be required to go to the State Public Works Board and work out a property transport to get the right-of-way needed on part of the road there. State forest. That's state forest in that section.
That would normally not be a considerable problem?
No, it's a long process, goes through the Public Works Board, and it's half a year probably to complete that acquisition.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
Just to clarify, I think that bridge went out in 2003. And I only say that because my daughter had a baby in 2005, and she got married the year that bridge went out. She wasn't pregnant when she got married, so it went out in 2003. However,
It washed away in 2004. Then.
oh, okay, but it was out of commission
Yes,
as of 2003.
it was taken out of commission early based on an inspection from the research that I did.
Right, in
But we-
2004, the storm washed the deck about 100 yards downstream is what I'm told.
July the 12th, 2000.
Well, we've lived on Old Elk Neck Road since '77. And I can tell you, there were many a